1570 AM and W298BX 107.5 FM, Winterville, North Carolina.
Okay, we are back. Welcome back to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM and 1570 AM WECU, and every Tuesday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. for Let's Talk K-12 Education. I'm your host for the next 50 minutes, Tanisha Langley, education enthusiast and thought leader and founder of Enrichment Strategy Services LLC, an education consulting business. You can connect with me by https://linktree enrichment strategist. I'm excited to partner with you and be dedicated to the heart of our community, which is education. I'm the host, but you and the community mean the most. I would love for you to share your suggestions of what you would love to get more information relating to K-12 education. So please shoot me an email at letstalkk12education@gmail.com. So let's get right into it. On last week's show, we talked about educators bossing up, and I highlighted my former district that I taught in for a decade and the current educators and the schools of the Pitt County School District bossing it up. I presented them with their kudos and flowers for an amazing job well done. If you would like a recap of any of the tools and resources from any of the previous Let's Talk K-12 education shows, head on over to Facebook, Awesome Radio 107.5 FM and 1570 AM with the purple and green logo. You can also catch it on YouTube, Awesome Radio TV Vision on Film 9300, and search again for that purple and green logo. So, as always, with each show, I just remind my listeners that I'm a wife, a mother, a former middle school teacher, and a grandmother to 8 school age G babies, and currently an education consultant and coach. And I recognize the importance of the ability of critical thinking skills. So I always like to open up my show before we get into the topic of the day with true educational style. How is your brain game? To get your mindset shifts ready for the school day, for homework, and all the tasks related to schools as it pertains to all the little ones that you're responsible for, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and godchildren. We're taking callers today at 252-756-2008 if you can guess this brain teaser, okay? Also, if you have brain teasers for How is Your Brain Game segment and you would like to have them on the show, again, you can email me at let's talk K12education at gmail.com. So, this one is one that I saw. I really, really liked it. And I says, "Ah, I've got to use that on the show." So, this is the brain teaser for How is Your Brain Game today? And get ready. So, here is the brain teaser. Here's the question. Mike's mom had three sons. One is Penny, one is Nickel. What's the third one's name? So again, Mike's mom had three sons. One name was Penny, one name was Nickel. What's the third one's name? So, won't give a whole lot of wait time today, but the answer is Mike. Remember, I asked how Mike's mom has three sons. One is Penny, one is Nickel, and what's the third one's name? So the third one's name is Mike because I put it right in the icebreaker, when we got ready to go over it. Um, so that's to kind of get us going for today, to get us open up, to get our mental juices flowing, because guys, today you're going to need it. Oh, yeah. So today we're going to talk about on today's show is school choice and options conversation. I wanted to provide some education and context regarding school choice. What is it? What are the pros and cons? What's the history behind it? And why is it controversial? As a former educator and classroom teacher from a traditional public school setting, my goal is to use this platform as an unbiased show to educate and provide information as it pertains to educating our future. That's the goal of the Let's Talk K-12 education show, to let others know in the challenging educational landscape there is light that pierces the darkness, and there are educators working in the trenches to close the gap of the school to prison pipeline with tenacity, grit, and grind, providing hope. So, I want to give a little context before I get into providing information today. So, as I stated, I come from a traditional public educational setting. So, of course, it is a an entity that I believe in. It's an entity that I took a lot of pride in. But I also want to put the information out there because we would like to say, in every setting, that most educators have a purpose and a passion the way that I did, as well as the other fellow educators that worked alongside me in the trenches, to make it a enjoyable, adventurous, and successful educational journey for all students attending our schools. However, at times, that is not always the case. So, with that being said, it's not about me, Tanisha the teacher, or me, the education consultant and coach. At the end of the day, it boils down to the little people that we're serving in the K-12 setting. And I'll start with that before I get into all the information that I'm going to provide today regarding conversations around school choice and options, okay? So I want to preface it with that. So, according to AI University, here are some common myths about school choice and opportunity scholarship vouchers, along with clarifications, okay? Myth number one: school choice drains public school funding, and this is cited from Education Week. Actually, the reality is, while it's true that public schools may lose funding when students leave, it doesn't lead to severe financial damage. Many school choice programs have mechanisms to prevent drastic funding cuts. In some states, public schools retain a portion of the funding for a student, even if the student switches to a private or charter school. Moreover, districts can adjust budgets and allocate resources more efficiently when enrollment drops, okay? Again, this is according to AI University, but I want to put this information out here so that we can make very good informed decisions as it pertains to our precious commodity, which are the learners, which are the children. Number two, myth: only wealthy families benefit from school choice. And this is cited from Politico, okay? The reality is that school choice, particularly voucher programs, is often targeted at low and middle income families. Programs like educational savings accounts, which is the abbreviated term is ESAs, and opportunity scholarships specifically aim to provide financial support to families who might not otherwise afford private education, according to EdChoice. For example, Pennsylvania's Educational Freedom Act is designed to help low income students from underperforming districts, okay? Myth number three: school vouchers only benefit religious schools. The reality is, although many private schools accept vouchers may be religious, school vouchers can be used for various types of institutions, including secular private schools, homeschooling programs, and specialized education services. The goal of school choice programs is to increase options, not to promote religious schooling, according to EdChoice. Myth number four: school choice program leads to worse academic outcomes. The reality is, multiple studies show mixed or even positive academic outcomes for students who take part in school choice programs. Some students may perform better in environments that cater more directly to their learning needs. That said, outcomes can vary depending on the quality and structure of the specific program, according to as cited by Politico. Myth number 5: vouchers violate the separation of church and state. The reality is the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in cases like Zellman versus Simmons Harris in 2002 that school vouchers do not violate the Constitution as long as the funds are directed by the parents and not the government, meaning the program remains neutral with respect to religion, per cited by Education Week. So, school choice programs continue to be debated, with advocates pointing to increased options and better individual outcomes, while critics worry about the impact on public school systems. All right. Now, we're taking callers today regarding school choice. Share your experiences as a family or educator at 252 756 2008. Again, if you have any input as it pertains to school choice or Opportunity Scholarship Voucher program, please give us a call here at the show at 252 756 2008. Okay. Now, so let's talk about. I gave you some information regarding myths and reality, and I cited several sources regarding that information from the AI University. But I also now want to define, and I'm not going to insult your intelligence, but I'm just, it's so many different types of information regarding this information. I just want to take the time on this platform to provide you with some of the research and the findings that I found. So, what is school choice? School choice is a broad term that encompasses various policies and practices aimed at giving families more options in selecting their child's school. It typically involves providing parents with the ability to choose a school outside of their assigned public school district. Now, the primary purpose of school choice for families is to, number one, increase parental involvement. School choice can empower parents to take a more active role in their child's education by allowing them to select a school that aligns with their values and their goals. Number two, another primary purpose for school choice for families is to improve educational outcomes. Proponents of school choice argue that it can lead to improved academic performance for students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds. Number three, foster competition. School choice can create competition among schools, incentivizing them to improve their quality and offer innovative programs. And number four, address educational inequities. Some believe that school choice can help to address educational inequities by providing families from disadvantaged communities with access to higher performing schools. It is important to note that school choice is a controversial topic and there are opposing viewpoints regarding its effectiveness and potential drawbacks. Now, before I move on to share some more information before we go to break, I want to kind of insert some information that I found out as an educational consultant, trying to make choices about who I would partner with. And I will be very, very transparent to let you know that in the very beginning, I was against doing any type of partnership with school choice. But at the end of the day, as I stated earlier, it is about the betterment of a child. It is about the betterment of the families of the children. So, what did I do as an education consultant and coach? I went and did some research. So, I want to, before I go any further with providing information, I want to share with you a little story about a convention that I went to this summer. No, last summer. And the convention, a conference per se, was regarding charter schools. And I'm the type I like to be involved in the conversation, but I also like to educate myself on things. So when I went, I was very surprised to hear some of the facts that they were given as it pertains. Because number one, I would always say, "Oh, I'm a licensed public school teacher." And so I had one of the stakeholders say, well, charters are public schools as well. And so I learned very early on that the etiquette behind that was to say public schools, public traditional versus public charters because of the funding. And what I found very interesting when I attended this conference to get a better understanding, even though I was, teach that I taught from a traditional public schools, I wanted to get more insight on why is this so controversial. I know that when I was teaching, some of our um, water cooler conversation was around the funding, and they're taking funding from public schools, and then they're taking this from the public schools, and some of that is true, and I'm going to address some of that in the show. But at the end of the day, they do receive the funding, but they don't receive funding for certain things like transportation. Well, some of them do, some of them don't. And some of them have to seek outside sources in order to get funding for those particular things. But out of all of that, the most interesting thing that I learned, this is such a hot, controversial topic. There were two political figures there at this conference that shared because they had a public stance in partnership with school choice. Unfortunately, they had some dismal outcomes in their political races. And I'll just leave it at that because this show is not in and of itself controversial, but I'm just wanting to bring about how controversial this is. And I get it. I mean, again, I was a public traditional school teacher for a decade. Um, and I had to basically get some understanding of, well, what is all the hoopla? So, hoping today in this show, I'm able to provide you with information. Again, I'm not taking a stance either to the left or the right. I'm just providing information because at the end of the show, at the end of the day, my whole goal is to provide you with information so that you can make informed decisions if you are having some difficulties with your child, maybe in a public school setting. What options are available? Um, because not all children, unfortunately, I wish I could sit up here and tell you that that wasn't the truth. Some children just have an extremely hard time in the public school setting. So, after we come from break, we are going to talk about the differences about all the various public schools, whether traditional, public, private, and Christian. We're going to talk about the all the differences. We're going to talk about some of the benefits with those. Um, we're going to talk about how it can actually work to your benefit. We're going to give some pros. We're going to give some cons. So we're going to talk about all those things. Even going to talk a little bit about homeschooling because again, this conversation is regarding around school choice and around opportunity scholarship vouchers system, which was a big hot topic in North Carolina right here recently. So we're going to get into all of that. But again, um, you guys, I can't wait to join this conversation. Call in again if you would like to um, have some input at 756-2008 and hope to get to talk to you on the other side of our station break. So again, I'm Tanisha Langley, your host for Let's Talk K-12 Education, where we are talking about school choice and vouchers today, and hoping that you will call in with your input or email us at Let's Talk K-12 education at gmail.com. Hope to see you on the other side of our break and looking to hear from you and provide your insights. And hope to see you then. Hope to see you soon. And come on back and join us. 107.5 WECU and 1570 AM. Awesome Radio. Looking to hear from you, looking to get your insight, looking to get your input right here on this station today as we talk about school choice, school vouchers.
Hello, my name is Daniel from Greenville. We appreciate you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU Radio in Greenville.
What does the Bible say about finding purpose in your life? Here's Pastor Mark Jobe with a Bold Steps Minute.
What's your destiny? I don't know. I just know tomorrow I need to show up at work at 9 o'clock and work till 5 and help make my boss rich. You're not thinking of big stuff. You're not thinking of a big picture. You're just thinking, hey, I got my routine, and then boom, your job changes, and now you thought you're going to retire there, and now you're asking yourself, well, what was I created to be? And what is the when and the what and the why about my life, and what is my purpose, and what
Listening to Awesome Radio, WECU 107.5 FM, 1570 AM. Christian media with the spirit of excellence.
Okay, we are back to Let's Talk K-12 Education with Tanisha Langley. I'm the host, but you and the community mean the most. And before the break, we were talking about, have a caller. All right, caller. Okay, so we were talking about before the break why why is it so controversial as it pertains to school choice, school opportunity vouchers? Why is that such a hot topic? And I went on to describe some of the myths and some of the actual realities. I also talked about um, why I had to go and educate myself. And coming from a traditional public school setting as a classroom teacher, I made it my business. Instead of just jumping on the bandwagon and bringing the conversation from the water cooler and from our PLCs to talk about school choice. And I wanted to go get some education and learn. What is the hoopla? Why is it so controversial? I know some parts, but I don't know all, and I need to be in the room. And I went to a charter conference, yes, to get information, and I found out a lot. Some of what we do know, but they went into depths about explaining the differences and why what some of the controversies were, and unfortunately, some of them paid a price with having openly, publicly acknowledging their partnerships for school choice. So, just want to give some background information. We're going to head on to talk about. AI University describes the differences between public, traditional, public charter, private, and Christian schools. So, let me break down some of the key distinctions between these types of schools. So, a public traditional school, the funding is primarily funded by taxpayer dollars. The governance is managed by local school boards. The enrollment is open to all students within the district, and the curriculum follows state mandated standards and curriculum. Now let's talk about, and that's what my background is, public traditionals. Now let's talk about your public charters. Remember, I just talked about I went to a charter conference to get information. So the funding is primarily funded by taxpayer dollars, but operate independently from traditional public schools. The governance, managed by a charter board. Enrollment, often have selective admissions processes, and the curriculum can have more flexibility in curriculum design, but must still meet state standards. Now let's talk about private schools. Private schools, the funding is primarily funded by tuition payments. The governance is managed by a private board or organization. The enrollment is typically have selective admissions processes, and the curriculum can have significant flexibility in curriculum design and can often incorporate religious or philosophical beliefs. Christian schools. The funding is primarily funded by tuition payments. The governance is managed by a religious organization. The enrollment typically open to students of a particular faith, but may also accept students from other backgrounds. The curriculum incorporates religious instruction and values into the curriculum. Now, note some of the key differences. For funding, public schools are primarily funded by taxpayers, while private and Christian schools rely on tuition. Governance. Public schools are governed by local school boards, while charter schools have independent boards. Private and Christian schools are governed by private organizations and religious entities. Enrollment. Public schools are generally open to all students within the district, while private and Christian schools often have selective admissions processes. Curriculum. Public schools must follow state mandated standards, while private and Christian schools have more flexibility in curriculum design. Christian schools incorporate religious instruction and values into their curriculum. Now, again, we're taking callers today regarding school choice. Share your experience as a family or educator at 252-756-2008. Again, I just gave you some information. So we're live on the air. Caller, okay, caller, you're live on the air.
Good
Give me your
afternoon, Ms.
name.
Langley. It's Dr. Glenn Johnson. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you? Thanks for calling in to the Let's Talk K-12 Education Show.
Yeah, it is a wonderful topic that you have on, so I just wanted to add something to it. As you were discussing the differences between the various schools and private schools and charters and all that,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention briefly for your listening audience, for all those students who attend the college or possibly have a future in education, um, I've learned, particularly for individuals seeking a doctorate or PhD,
Hmm.
and they might want to be an instructor or a lecturer. Now, some colleges or universities, just because you have a PhD or a doctorate, doesn't necessarily give you free will to be a lecturer. Some colleges or universities may specify that you have a certain curriculum in what you want to discuss, or certain concentration in the area of this discussion. So, because a lot of people have a doctorate, but a lot of times that's why you have to use your degree letters or postnominal letters. Like, you might be a medical doctor. Well, there's different medical doctors. You might be an MD medical doctor. You might be a DDS, doctor of dentistry, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
But when it comes to PhDs and doctorates, you have to use your postnominal letters or degree letters. Like, you might be a doctor of clinical religious counseling, like myself. So I just can't put Dr. Glenn Johnson. I have to use my letters, DCRC, Doctor of Clinical Research Counseling, and that specifies my concentration. So I just wanted to mention that just because you have a doctorate or PhD doesn't necessarily automatically give you free will to be a lecturer at any college or university.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, because that does fall in line of what we're doing, because people, that is one of the things, that I'm glad that you mentioned it, because people do get confused, and it does play a huge factor into which entity you're trying to get into, what the specifics are on what you're doing. And so, do you have any other insight, maybe as it pertains to um, what it takes to get to where you are, what successes you may have had? And we may have to discuss it on the other side of the break, but if you want to hold on, that will be good. So, you called in to specify the types of letters. So, what have been some things that you have seen with some of the letters that you have had, and some of the obstacles and challenges that you may have faced?
Well, not me in particular, but uh, a female that graduated from the same university that I received my doctorate. She was running for city council in Florida, and when she put her paperwork in, she did put down Doctor So and So because she had her doctorate. But what she failed to do was put her postnominal letters, her degree letters, after her name, and that caused a lot of chaos. Well, not chaos. It caused a lot of questioning from the council and from the town that she was running to be an elected official. She had to explain herself as to what type of doctor she was because they had no idea. So once she put down what her letters were,
Okay.
then they cleared up everything.
Okay.
So I just want people to be cautious about that.
You said what? Okay, I'm going to get you called to hold on for just a minute. We're getting ready to take a quick station break. Thank you so much for calling in to add to the discussion. If you want to hold, just hold tight. We're going to finish up our discussion after we take a quick station break. So here we're talking about school choice, school opportunities, and we're going to see you back here.
Yeah, as a
Hello,
matter of
my name
fact,
is Hayden.
Compromise? Well, it had disastrous consequences. But more on that tomorrow.
Discover answers to your questions about science and the Bible at AnswersRadio.com. Be sure to visit AnswersRadio.com.
What does Meals on Wheels do? They deliver meals and smiles to homebound seniors. But Meals on Wheels does something else. They turn a volunteer's lunch break into a meaningful experience.
As small and as simple as the relationship is between a volunteer and a client of Meals on Wheels, it's really so impactful. I never thought that 5 minutes could make so much difference in the lives of two people, but it has.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. That's americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Tracy, and you're listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU Radio. Thank you.
All right, we are back. We're back with Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, WECU, and 1570 AM. And we are talking about Let's Talk K-12 Education, where today's topic, we're talking about school choice and options on the table. We are talking about how it's controversial. I gave the information of some myths and realities, gave information regarding, the different types of schools. I definitely, as a disclaimer, this is all information that is cited, that I researched, and I'm just sharing from my perspective as being a public traditional teacher, that it would be awesome in our perfect world for students to be able to go into your regular traditional public schools and have a rewarding opportunity, a rewarding educational experience. However, sometimes it doesn't always work, and families are always on the lookout for what could be a better fit for their child, what could be a better fit for their families. And I'm hoping that today's show, as we talk about school choice and options, that we can provide you with the information, unbiased information, as to help you with that. Because at the end of the day, I'm about children, I'm about learners, I'm about empowerment, I'm about enrichment. So at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to me. Of course, I would love for your child to be able to get it in a traditional public setting, but however which way your child can be successful and what works for your families, that's what's important to me. So before we went on to break, we had a call to call in to talk about, the various ways of how you need to present your letters, as far as being able to describe your doctorate or ED or EDD, I think. And so that's important. And what I was hoping to be able to talk with him about is would have loved to have known, because he is one that got a high level certification, high level degree. I would have loved to have known, what was his educational background. Did he come from a public traditional? Did he come from a charter? Did he come from private? That's where I was going to head with the conversation with that, to kind of wrap it all around. But that's okay. We'll continue our discussion. So we've delved into myths, realities, some research, and what are the different types of the schools. Again, we're taking callers today regarding school choice. Share your experience as a family or educator at 252-756-2008. Again, we are talking about school choice and options today. We're talking about school choice and options and conversations. Now, I would like to point out that AI University says the Opportunity Scholarship voucher for North Carolina in the 2024-2025 school year is a state-funded program aimed at helping low and middle income families afford private school tuition. The program provides scholarships or vouchers that allow eligible students to attend accredited private schools of their choice. So, for this school year, which we're into it now, and I would love to have known some families that had the opportunity to utilize those vouchers. But it says for the features for the 2024-25, increased income eligibility. The program has expanded income eligibility, allowing families earning up to 200% of the federal poverty level to qualify for full scholarships. Middle income families are also eligible for partial scholarships. Scholarship amounts. The maximum award for the 2024-2025 school year was up to $6,492 per student. The amount could be used to cover tuition, transportation, and other necessary fees at participating private schools. Notice I just said a key word there: participating private schools. Application process. Families must apply online through the North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority, which is the abbreviation for NCSEAA. Again, NCSEAA. The application window usually opens in the early spring, with scholarships awarded on a first come, first served basis. Program expansion. So the 2023 budget bill aimed to increase access to more families by raising income eligibility limits and boosting funds for the program, ensuring more students could take advantage of private education options. This scholarship is part of North Carolina's broader school choice initiatives, allowing parents greater flexibility in choosing an education that meets their child's needs. For more details, you can visit the NCSEAA website and look for the North Carolina Opportunity Scholarships link, okay? So now that we've addressed that, let's give a little bit more insight and information regarding NCSEAA, which stands for North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority, K-12 announcements. So the General Assembly um, has passed Section 6.4 to 6.5A of House Bill 10, which would provide, and this is as early, according to my resources, my cited resources, September 12th, 2024, which would provide additional funding for the Opportunity Scholarships and ESA Plus programs. House Bill 10 has been sent to the governor, who has 10 days to sign or take no action on the bill for it to become law. The governor may also veto the bill, and the bill would then be subject to further action by the General Assembly. If this bill is enacted and additional funds become available, um, NCSEAA will begin awarding eligible students whose applications were received during the prior period of February 1st to March 1st as soon as possible. So you want to go to that website, NCSEAA, which stands for North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority, and look for further updates. Now, again, this is all cited information during my research. So the Opportunity Scholarship Voucher, which is another abbreviation for OSV, if you hear someone say that, is a program in North Carolina, and it provides state funding to eligible students, allowing them to attend participating private schools. This program is designed to offer families more educational choices and potentially improve academic outcomes for students. So what is the eligibility criteria for the 2024-2025 school year? And this is kind of old, but I just wanted to provide you with the information. So families must meet specific income eligibility requirements, which are determined by the state. School performance, students may need to meet certain academic performance standards, such as being in good standing or meeting specific grade level benchmarks. And as the educator in me, I want to go back over that one again. Students may need to meet certain academic performance standards, such as being in good standing or meeting specific grade level benchmarks. Other factors, additional eligibility criteria may apply, such as being a child of a military member or having a disability. So how do OSVs work, which are Opportunity Scholarship Vouchers? So the state provides funding for the Opportunity Scholarship Voucher, which can be used towards tuition, fees, and transportation costs. Participating schools, the voucher can be used at participating private schools that have been approved by the state. The application process, families must apply for the OSV program and meet the eligibility requirements. Please note that specific eligibility criteria and program details may change from year to year. It's recommended to visit the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction website or contact your local school district for the most up-to-date information on the OSV program. Okay, I'll run that by you again. It's recommended to visit the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, NCDPI, website or contact your local school district for the most up-to-date information. You can also send your questions to Opportunity Scholarships at ncseaa.edu. Again, for questions regarding the Opportunity Scholarships voucher, Opportunity Scholarships at ncseaa.edu. Or you can call 1-855-330-3955. And that's the K-12 program staff, and it's toll free. Again, we're taking callers today regarding school choice to share your experience as a family or educator at 252-756-2008. Now, since we're talking about school choice, school opportunities, we are going to talk about homeschooling, which is also an option. Okay? So again, according to my research, homeschools play a significant role in the broader school choice movement by offering parents the option to take complete control of their child's education. It factors in as flexible, customizable alternative to traditional schooling options like public and private schools. Here are several ways homeschooling intersects with school choice. Number one is personalized education. Homeschooling allows parents to tailor the curriculum and teaching style to meet their child's unique learning, which is a major appeal of school choice programs. Parents can focus on their child's strengths and weaknesses as well as explore subjects that align with their interests, making it a highly personalized education option. Number two, school vouchers and ESAs. Some states with education savings accounts, ESAs, or voucher programs allow funds to be used for homeschooling related expenses like curriculum materials or educational technology. This allows homeschooling families to benefit financially from the same programs that help students attend private or charter schools. For instance, programs in states like Arizona offer ESAs to homeschooling families, giving them a portion of public funds to cover educational costs. Number three, hybrid part-time enrollment options. In certain districts or states, homeschooling families can take advantage of hybrid education options where students are enrolled part-time in public or charter schools. This flexibility allows students to participate in specialized classes, an example, advanced science labs, sports, or arts, while still being homeschooled for other subjects. This model blends the benefits of public schooling with homeschooling freedoms. Number four, response to traditional school concerns. Many parents turn to homeschooling in response to dissatisfaction with public or private school environments, whether it's concerns over curriculum, class size, or safety. These are the same reasons driving many families to explore school options that like vouchers or charter schools. Homeschooling provides a path for parents seeking even greater control and oversight of their child's education. Number five, socialization and extracurriculars. A common criticism of homeschooling is the perceived lack of socialization and opportunities. However, many homeschooling families overcome this by participating in homeschool co ops, which offer group learning, field trips, extracurricular activities. Some school choice advocates support the expansion of public programs or extracurriculars that homeschooling students can participate in, such as sports, leagues, or academic clubs, further blending the line between traditional schooling and homeschooling. Now, I'll step in there and interject there very quickly. As an education consultant, one of the clients that I had actually did this hybrid mix. They took them out of traditional schooling with his IEP. They weren't quite liking how things were going. Took him out to homeschool him. But then as he got older, they put him in a homeschool curriculum, but had a the curriculum was homeschool, but they were in an actual building or a setting. And then I came in as his academic coach and got him prepared, because you're not going to believe this, but he actually was desiring to go back to public schools. So what I did during this time was I got him from middle school and I got him prepared to go back to the public school setting, and he started his freshman year. So he did a combination of both, and with the academic coaching that was provided, and now he's a junior, so he's doing pretty good. He's adjusted, but I think that he was a student that needed to step out of the traditional setting for a while, and whatever that mom needed, which he did some homeschooling, he did private schooling, and he eventually, me and him partnered together as his academic coach. So um, I just wanted to give those overviews. And number six is about regulation and accountability. So, homeschooling is still growing and is still expanding. And, according to the U.S. Department of Education, 41% of homeschool students are Black, Asian, Hispanic, and others. Homeschooling experiences. A PBS parent reported that homeschooling allowed her family to visit different parks each week and explore trails, which she says can't be done from a textbook. So, the analysis based on the data is that thousands of school districts across the country reveals there's a dramatic rise in homeschooling at the onset of the pandemic. And actually, what they thought was when the pandemic passed, they thought that most of the kids were going to go back to your traditional settings. Nope, they still remain homeschooled. So families have been enjoying some of the benefits with homeschooling, which is again wraps around. We're talking about school choice and options today in this conversation. Wanted to bring about some of the information regarding homeschool, and again, I do come from a public traditional school classroom setting as a classroom teacher, but at the end of the day, I'm at the heartbeat of what's important for kids, what's important for children, what's important for learners. So, um, very excited today to have this conversation. Very excited to share, provide you with information about the options that are out there. To talk about, the different charter schools, about ESAs, about, we didn't talk much about magnet schools, but virtual schools, about some open enrollment policies and homeschoolings. So it is important for me for you to be able to have the information to make informed decisions, addressing your educational needs, promoting innovation, and addressing concerns. So overall, the goal of me as an education consultant would be to provide valuable information and guidance to the families so that you can make the best possible decisions regarding your child's education. So that's the meat of this show today. Very controversial. Um, and I just explained to you some of the reasons why it is controversial because, we're talking about funding. So the recap and the review is that this allows flexibility and personalization, expanded access, even though most of us have mixed emotions around it. So again, you can get access to this information online through https www.nceaa.edu or National Choice Awareness Foundation or myschoolchoice.com. Again, remember, every child is unique. Find what works best for your family and create a supportive learning environment and bridge the gap from home to school. So you can find us here at Facebook, Awesome Radio 107.5 FM or 1570 AM, or on YouTube at Awesome Radio TV Vision on Film 9300. And remember, if you have any suggestions for our show, please email us here at Let's Talk K-12 Education gmail.com. Again, let's talk K-12 education at gmail.com. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Hope you were able to get some of the tips and nuggets and resources that's available, and hoping that you don't jump on the bandwagon and have those conversations, but like I did, which was attended a charter conference. Make sure that you educate yourself. I provided tons of resources for you to use. I want you to look that information up. I want you to come back and revisit this show if you need information. So again, I want to see you here again next week, next Tuesday from 2 to 3 o'clock at Let's Talk K-12 Education with your host, Tanisha Langley, educational enthusiast and thought leader, and giving you some information today regarding school choice and options on the show.
Hello, my name is Daniel out of Greenville. Thank you for listening.